Hey, Brandon here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. We are talking 2026 quarterbacks today. I'm going to be joined by Jason DeRienzo, my podcast co-host. We're going to give you our top 10 2026 quarterbacks who from the 2025 class might go back to school. And we got a bunch of burning questions talking about who could be the QB1 of the 2026 class. How does it compare to the 2025 class that we're looking at right now? We've got a bunch of great burning questions. We're going to do a show like this for the running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends in the next few weeks. So if you want an early look at the 2026 class, a lot of people are always wondering, should I trade for 2026 first rounders? Hit that subscribe button. This channel is dedicated not to just getting you prepared for the 2025 rookie class, but future Dynasty rookie classes as well. Enjoy the show. All right, Jason, let's talk about the 2026 quarterback class. Now, we're going to be making some assumptions here. So we're going to go over the class. We're going to go over our top 10 that we currently have on the big boards, okay? And then we got some burning questions of the 2026 class as well to have some fun with it, to kind of see, kind of to talk about the class more in depth. So I'm going to give you my top 5, and then we're going to go through your top 5, and then I'll give you my 6 through 10. You can give me your 6 through 10. So I got Arch Manning at the top. I think he's going to be starting for Texas next year. Quinn Ewers, it'll be really interesting to see a lot of speculation out there whether or not he is going to be going back to the to college in the transfer portal. Might just go to the NFL draft. That remains to be seen. I got Arch Manning as the #1 guy next year. Whether he declares in 2026 or not will be interesting. Only playing 1 year. He may be more of a 2027 prospect, but nonetheless, I think he's going to be the best passer of this group. He has flashed this year on the limited snaps that we've seen, and is delivered every time he's been on the field at Texas. Lenore Sellers, probably the fastest rising, most exciting quarterback in college football right now, between his ability to throw the ball, but what's more impressive is that skill set with his legs and his ability. I think he had, we talked about it on the podcast 2-3 episodes ago. He had like 4 touchdowns and three through the air, 4 on the ground, or some crazy number. Exciting. I got Drew Aller at #3. I think Aller comes back. I don't believe he gets drafted. I think he needs more time. I think Penn State's an ascending program, and they might convince him to come back for another year. I think another year of experience would do him well. Garrett Nussmeier, I feel the same way. He's at #4 for me. I think he's played 1 year at LSU, started off strong. Then I think the defensive coordinator started to figure him out just a little bit, towards the end of the season, and he needs more time to come back. It'll be interesting to see if he does. If he stays at LSU, I'm assuming he will. There's a lot of uncertainty around that LSU program with that coach. I think he rubs a lot of people the wrong way. And then #5 is Nico. I'm just going to call him Nico from Tennessee because I bastardized last name so bad. But if you know,
It's a tough one.
if you watch college football, you know who Nico Amalai-Vea is, or however you say that. So those are my top 5. What is your top 5 of your 2026 board look like?
Yeah, I mean, we got the same top 2. I got Arch and Lenore Sellers. At some point, I was debating on flipping those, but I think Arch just has, just a more well-rounded skill set at this point in time. I see Sellers doing some of the stuff that he did in this past game, his escapability, and just because of the size, but he's going to have a little bit better pocket presence and some more anticipation on his throws. So just a couple areas I want to see improve, but man, he is a special talent. He's going to be a fantasy football superstar. I have Jalen Milroe at #3. That is me just projecting that he's probably going to end up coming back. It would get him some good to get another year of development under his belt. That Georgia game is the high point. To me, that is the ceiling of potential of what we can expect from Jalen Milroe. So if he can just put together a nice resume that is more consistent from what we saw of him in that game at Georgia, we could see him definitely rise up the ranks in 2026. I have Nico at #4, and I drew Aller at #5. So we're very similar, except for Garrett Nussmeier.
I like it. So, excuse me. At #6, I'm going to go with Sam Levitt from Arizona State. I mean, this guy is a true sophomore this year. 2,400 yards, 21 TDs, 5 interceptions. He rushed 90 times for 350 yards and 4 TDs. And I haven't watched a ton of him, but I'm telling you, the boy, your Tyson kid that you had a deep dive player on a couple
Jordan
weeks ago.
Tyson.
I made a film for him. I'll be posting that on the
Yeah,
YouTube channel and watching Sam Levitt play. Got some glimpses of him. I've watched 2 games of that Tyson kid that you brought to my attention. The kid can
yeah,
play. Sam Levitt looked
yeah, he
pretty
can play.
good.
He
So I've
also got injured though, so I don't know what's
who's
going on with him.
who's
Yeah,
Sam Levitt
he
did?
had a nasty injury. Yeah. No, 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 Tyson.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's a
pretty bad
bummer.
injury too. Yeah,
Oh,
it's a bummer.
like a knee or something. Well, we'll talk about it later.
So
But anyway,
yeah, we'll talk about it later.
yeah. So Riley Leonard, he's going to the Senior Bowl, but kids who go to the Senior Bowl can come back to college now. So, it'll be interesting to see. I'm really surprised that he, would declare for the NFL draft with 1 more year of eligibility. So that'll be interesting. But I like Riley Leonard.
Yeah.
He's got the legs. He's got that dual threat capability. He's got to continue to
Mhm.
work on being a better passer. Dante Moore is going to get his shot at Oregon. He's coming in at number 8 for me. I'm assuming Oregon is not going to tip their toes again in the transfer portal. So I'd like to see him get his shot. Started out at UCLA, started off nice. Kind of the wheels fell off the bus there. He transfers, waited his turn. Dylan Gabriel's going to the NFL. Jackson Arnold, I've not given up on him as an Oklahoma quarterback. These guys just take time to develop. So I'm assuming he's going to come back and be the starter next year. And then Malik Murphy is an interesting prospect from Duke, 6'5",
Mhm.
230 pounds, threw for 2,900 yards this year, 26 touchdowns. He had 12 picks, which he's going to have to, tone it down a little bit. But can sling the rock and needs more development. But here we are. I mean, we're talking about our 9th or 10th quarterback. And usually those that go that deep don't make it to the NFL and our dynasty rosters. But that rounds out my top 10.
Yeah, I think Malik Murphy's actually a really good one. I forgot about him, but he's a dual threat with a big size, and that's a
Mm,
good stat line for him in his first year.
yeah.
So my number 6 is gonna be Garrett Nussmeier. Number 7 is going to be Riley Leonard. Number 8 is Cade Klubnik. Really like what he's
Ooh.
been doing, coming on pretty strong this year, so he could definitely elevate his draft stock. I have
Mhm.
Carson Beck here, coming back. I'll tell you what, as far as Carson Beck with his turnovers and, the first half of a game, he definitely overcomes the adversity,
He does.
somehow turns it on the second half of these games, and I respect some of the throws that he is making. Like, he can make some pretty spectacular throws. So if he can just get the confidence back, shore up some of the decision making, get a better read on these defenses. I'm not sure how he's going to be in fantasy, just because he is a bit of a statue, but I think that he could be a serviceable pro in the right team, kind of like Bo Nix landing with Sean Payton. And then at number 10, I have Aiden Childs, the Michigan State quarterback. Like some of the stuff that he's done, I've been watching a lot of those receivers, and I think Childs has making some good reads and some good throws. So pretty impressed with what he's done this season.
Does Carson Beck have another year of eligibility?
I thought he did, which is why I put him on the list.
Yeah, I'm not sure he
Um,
does.
okay.
All right.
If not, then I would probably slide Malik Murphy in there because I think that's a really good one.
Okay, cool. You're not allowed to
Yeah.
have mine. You're only allowed to have your own. Yeah.
Okay. All
So,
right. Uh,
uh,
and just for the record too, I have Sam Levitt or whatever his name is going back to Arizona State. I got a feeling like it's gonna be hard for them to find a quarterback that does so well. They're probably gonna want to pull him back for another 4th year.
yeah, I could see that, and I think
Yeah.
that's what the NFL wants. And that's why I think Drew Aller is going to go back as well.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think they want the kids to go back, get more experience. There's no rush to get to the NFL. So, all right, let's talk about some burning questions. All right, some
Yeah.
fun stuff. So, the 2026 class. Let's assume for the moment that we have Arch Manning, Sellers, Aller, Nussmeier, and Nico all declare. How do you compare that class to this year's 2025 class?
Um, I mean, honestly, I think this year's 2025 class is pretty freaking good. I don't see a Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams type in this class. I'm not
No,
sure
no,
if
no.
that's
I'm
warranted or
sorry.
not.
I'm talking about the Cam Ward class, like this
Oh, it
year's.
came. Got
Yeah,
it. Got it.
this
Got
year's class,
it.
not
Oh,
last year's. I'm talking about
yeah,
this year.
this class is well beyond what we're gonna get out of this class in 2025 for sure. I mean, Arch Manning, Lenore Sellers have a huge ceiling, and if you look at
Mhm.
it, if Jalen Monroe does go back and comes out, that's another big time dual threat. Nico's a big quarterback, 6'6", with dual threat ability and a cannon for an arm. Drew Hours, a big running back, dual threat ability, cannon for an arm. So yeah, I think there's a much higher ceiling of potential with this class than 2025.
Yeah, when you were like saying, oh, it's not nearly as good. I was like, oh, yeah, I think I disagree with you there. So I knew that we were
I'm
not
glad you
on the
caught me because I was like, okay, that makes more sense
yeah,
what he's
not
asking.
not on the same page there. All right. So Arch Manning, after 1 year, let's hypothesize that he plays at Texas and just lights it up. He's the Mannings. They want him in the NFL. Does he declare after 1 year, or do you think he comes back to be a 2027 guy?
I think he goes back. I do. Could he come out? Absolutely. But at the same exact time, this is a different era of college football in the NFL. And I think the NFL is really starting to want these guys to have some experience so they don't go through the Bryce Young and the Anthony Richardson, dilemmas again, where they got to bench them because they're just not ready. I think we are going to see more veterans come in and start over some of these rookies, even if they
Mm,
are a top five pick. But at the same time, I think it would do Arch some good. And we just saw Bryce Underwood get paid what a second round quarterback would get
no,
paid, and he hasn't even touched
no.
the field. You're telling me Arch Manning won't get a handful of money? I mean,
Yeah.
I think he would go back.
Yeah. So Sellers, with that size, speed combo and that that enormous playmaking ability. Let's
Yeah,
say it's him and Manning and Allard. Could you see a scenario where he is the first guy taken? Again, this is all hypothesis of just
for
having
sure.
fun with this. And, do you think that if Manning is the better passer, do you think those legs get him above those two other quarterbacks?
I want to say yes, based on what I saw Lenore Sellers do this past weekend. I mean,
Yeah.
that dude was just shredding tackles. Nobody could bring him down. And not only that, he was putting on a display of long speed that you just don't see from a guy that size. So it's pretty special. But then again, Arch Manning, his one touch he had in the game, he ran it in for a pretty decent long touchdown too on the perimeter. So I'm not too sure. I think Manning's going to have such a good support system behind him because he's a Manning and because he's already got that pedigree
Yeah.
that Lenore Sellers is going to have to do something very spectacular, which he could be a Heisman favorite come next year based on what I saw. But I think Arch just has too much behind him, backing him,
Yeah.
that I'm not sure if Sellers would get that.
Yeah. So let's say
But
I'm
man, Sellers
assuming.
is amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, right. If I'm a franchise owner, right, I'm going with the guy that can
Yeah.
pass the ball. I mean, the legs are nice. I
Oh,
get
for
it.
sure.
But you're with
Yeah,
the guy that can distribute the
yeah.
football. So our top five are very similar. You have Jalen Milrow. I've
Mhm.
got Nussmeyer in mind, assuming Milrow goes. So with my list with Nussmeyer, do you think all five of those could be potential first rounders in 2026?
I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, I really don't based on what they have done, I mean, majority of these guys have elevated their draft stock already this year, and they're not even coming out. The 2 that haven't, I mean, is basically Garrett Nussmeier and Jalen Milroe, which is why we're talking about them going back. The other ones, I mean, I feel good about Drew Aller. I like what he's
I
done
do
this
too.
year,
I
and I
do
think
too.
he's taken a huge step forward.
Hmm.
So you're telling me he can take another step forward next year at what he's done and what we already are intrigued by with his skill set? I mean, it wouldn't shock me if we have 6 quarterbacks going the first round next year.
Yeah, I think it's a good class. I mean, again,
Yeah,
if they were all to declare. So, all right, let's assume that
right.
Sanders and Cam Ward, they look like right now they're going to be the only two first round quarterback selection, right? Let's say
That would
the
be my
Raiders
guess,
and
yeah.
yeah, the Raiders and Giants. I'm putting out a mock draft in a couple days, and I mocked the Raiders and Giants, to take those two quarterbacks. Let's talk about some good landing spots in 2026. Some teams, the Titans, need a quarterback. The Browns, the Saints, Seattle maybe with Geno Smith's contract runs out. The Rams. I mean, so which one of those landing spots do you think would be the best for these quarterbacks?
Honestly, I think the Rams is a great one.
Yeah.
You already have a solidified start with Matt Stafford. We have seen what McVay's been able to do with that offense. I think it would be plug and play for any one of these quarterbacks we've talked about for 2026. I think that would be a great spot. I think Seattle would be a good spot too, just based on the weapons. Jackson Smith and Jigba's really breaking out this year. DK Metcalf, the running game. They have 2 good running backs, a solid offensive line. I think that would be a good spot. And I honestly think the Browns is a
Yeah.
very
I was going to say that.
underrated type of landing spot. I mean, they have weapons for days right now. They been
Mhm.
drafting first round picks for a long time. So I think that would be a good spot for any one of these guys to come into, especially with seeing what Jameis Winston's having success doing there right now with those weapons.
Yeah, I think the Jets would be a good spot. I'm assuming they're going to draft a wide receiver this year in the draft to help out with,
Yeah,
and whether they keep Rodgers for a second season or not, because I've always felt that a lot of these guys should sit, behind the starter for a year or two anyway,
yeah, I
just
agree.
for their
The
own development.
dysfunction of the Jets is the only thing that's holding me back.
It's true, but it's got to change at some
Yeah.
point, doesn't it? I
It
mean,
has to it
I
has
mean,
to
it
change.
can't be like this forever, can it? I mean, it
No.
can't be
Good
forever. So,
god.
I
Yeah.
think everybody. We're gonna profile the 2020 six running backs next, the wide receivers, and then the
Mhm.
tight ends to give you guys an early look at next year as well. As much as we love the 2025 class, it is never too early to start looking
Oh,
into
no.
the future. That's what we do on this podcast as well on my YouTube channel. So there you guys got it. That's kind of our overview right now. 2026 quarterback class is looking pretty solid.